So tell me about your first deal, your first storage unit.
Yeah, man. So it was September 2021. I closed on a 43,000 square foot storage facility in Mississippi.
Wow. So one
And
of those kind of self-contained, like an old Walmart or something.
no, this was an actual, it was built as a storage facility. And so
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't have to do so I tend to focus on low hanging fruit. And what I mean by that is I target mom and pop operated
Okay.
facilities in smaller markets. Like think of secondary markets that have a population between
Mm.
1,000 and 60,000 people on
Oh,
average.
okay.
And what's cool about a lot of these mom and pop operated facilities is that many of them don't implement marketing. They don't have any systems or technology. Many of them don't even have a website. It's not uncommon for me to talk to a storage owner who hasn't raised the rates on their customers in years. So David,
Wow.
that would be the equivalent of like, when was the first time that you bought your very first rental property?
2009. First rental property, yeah, 9 or 10. I don't,
So
that's a great question.
ballpark, what was the rent in 2009 on that very first rental?
Oh, I could tell you there's some that are maybe 2 blocks from here that when I bought them, they were 395.
395 a month. Okay, that was the
2 bedroom, 1.5 bath duplex. Yeah.
today. What is the rent on that same property?
1250.
Okay, so there you go. So basically about a 3 to 4x jump.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up is because a lot of the mom and pop operators, they haven't raised rates in years. So it would be
Yeah.
the equivalent of you having never raised the rates on your rental properties. And
Wow.
that gives me the ability to go in, identify like what is the average of the market rates. And
Mhm.
if I'm able to buy that facility, it's a very light value add. I'm able to just go in there and raise the rates. And the cool thing about storage and commercial, as you know, David, is that the value is not based on comparable sales like it is in single family. It's
Right.
based on the income that that asset produces. So if
Yeah, I
you're
think
able, yeah,
that's something I want you to talk a little bit about because that's a different kind of shift where, if I raise all of my units $10, and there's 300 of them, like how that like extrapolates out to the value.
yeah,
That's a
it's
key for
huge.
commercial.
For sure. It's something we get to do something called forced depreciation,
Mhm.
right? And so in single family, again, it's based on the comps. Like you can't, for the most part, control the value of that asset. It's based on what, generally speaking, what other properties are selling for in a
Yeah.
half mile, maybe mile radius. In storage, there's a lot of things we can do to raise the income. So, like as an example, we can raise the rents. We can introduce fee income, right? So we can add fees for auctions and for locks and for
Mhm.
insurance and all these different things. All that trickles down to the bottom line. And to your point, you might, as a simple example, if I just raised the rates $5
Yeah.
across 300 units, right? That's $1,500 a month worth of increase, if my math is right. Well, when you factor in a cap rate, which a cap rate is basically, think of a cap rate as an expression of value based on the income the asset produces. Well,
Yeah.
that's $1,500 times 12. And then if you factor in or layer on a cap rate of
2,000.
maybe
Yeah.
7 or 8, it has a profound and exponential impact on the value of the facility just by
Mm.
raising the rates $5 a unit. It seems inconsequential, but when
Yeah.
you layer on a cap rate, it has an exponential impact on the value of the facility. Does
Mhm.
that make
And you can
sense?
do it does. It does to me. I just want to make sure everybody understood it. So, yeah, so then you could do it 1 year and then the next year and the next year and the next year and the next year. I know because I just signed a new lease and I see it going up, 4
Yeah.
or 5% every single year. So that's amazing. I think that is one of the beauties of the commercial real estate business that we don't see in the single housing or single family housing market. Because I've said the same thing. You can take a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and I can wrap it in gold, and it's still $180,000 house. Like,
That's
you
it,
know,
man.
maybe it's 185 now, but you just cannot. It just doesn't work like that.
That's right. Look, you asked me about my first facility. I just within the last less than 80 days ago, less than 3 months ago, I sold that facility. I had bought that facility September of 21. I bought it for 1.592. I was able to
Mhm.
get 85% SBA financing. So the Small Business Administration gave me a loan for 85% of that purchase price. And then I brought in an equity partner to fund the 15% gap that I needed, which was about 350 grand that I didn't have at the time.
Right.
We just sold that within the last 2.5 months for 2.495. So
Wow.
we got the cash flow over the last 3 years. We got a pretty decent equity pop on the sale of that facility. And now we're taking that cash and rolling it into a different market, same asset class. So what I've realized about storage, David, is that people talk about cash flow, and the cash flow can be great, but the equity play is what I think doesn't really get appreciated about
Mhm.
storage. The fact
Yeah.
that we can find these undervalued facilities, we can raise the rates and do some of the things we're talking about, and within 1 to 3 years, you can turn around, sell that facility, make a pretty big pop, and then
Yeah.
roll that into another opportunity.
That's amazing. That's an incredible story. And then your 15% equity guy, is he staying in for the next deal?
Yes, he's looking. He's like, hey, when's the next one? So
Yeah.
as you know, with private lenders or equity partners, like
Mhm.
when you do what you say you're going to do, you hit your projections, you follow the business plan, and you execute. Like they're not going anywhere. They want their
Yeah.
money to grow. They know that you're a strong operator. They trust you. So I think this goes without saying, but I think it's worth underscoring.
Mhm.
Always do what you say you're going to
Sure.
do.
Right.
Follow through. Be transparent. No matter. I mean, it's just a general rule of life, right? So yeah, man, it's the cool thing about storage, David, is that it doesn't take very many of these to have a significant impact on your life.